You know what I've learned in 40 years? Everybody's got a story about why they were right. Not everybody's got the roof to prove it.
Today, somebody's got the roof.
Welcome to the tie-in.
Hey, this is not a product show, and it's not a trade show panel with the booth removed and the names changed. No, the tie-in exists because there's a widening gap between the commercial roofing industry that built the last 50 years and the one being asked to build the next 50. AI is changing how the work gets done. Robotics are changing what is possible. This is a different industry than it was 50 years ago. The relationships are different. The pressures are different. The decisions are different. But the work ethic at the center of it all, that hasn't changed. The tie-in is a route built to explore that tension, a place where the history of this industry can sit across from its future and have an honest conversation about what comes next. Today, we're walking you into that room, not the booth at the trade show, the actual room, the job site, the boardroom, the decisions nobody photographs, the risks nobody announces, and the conversations this industry needs to start having out loud. Our first story arc is anchored by Elevate. Our first guest is Steve Little. My name is Keith Bilous. Let's frame it up. There we go. Awesome. My mic was a little muted the first time doing the show. This is the Live Bugs. How are you, my friend? How are you today? What is up, John Kiesel?
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I am feeling so excited here today, and the thing that comes to mind is gratification. Just feeling very grateful to be here having this conversation, grateful for the team at Division 7, grateful for the industry, grateful for my family, and God for bringing me to this glorious day.
I love starting a show with gratitude, my friend. You know what? Commercial roofing, as you heard through my monologue there, is entering its most significant transformation in 50 years. And it's not because the fundamentals have disappeared, but because everything surrounding them is changing. And I'm excited because we got a guest coming up who I know you know, and we're excited to bring him up, aren't we, today?
I couldn't be more excited. I mean, we're bringing the big cheese in here today, and I cannot wait to have this conversation because I don't think anybody else can talk about the things our guest is going to talk about.
Yeah, Steve Little is waiting for us in the green room. He'll be coming up in a few minutes. But before we do that, John, I want to throw a question out in the air, which is like one of those rhetorical questions around this question of like, how does an industry, and the roofing industry is built on tradition, how does it evolve without abandoning what made it so strong?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that, we have our strengths, we have our foundation. The installation of roofs is going to be a process where materials are applied, but the business structure, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we communicate with our clients, that's going to change. But at the end of the day, we're a strong industry made up of strong people that get things done.
It's interesting because you say strong industry with strong people. When I hear of strength, it's incredible how weak 2 inches of water can accumulate over time. You and I were talking earlier this week about that really tragic incident that happened. You turn it on here, Melissa. Melissa, we got Melissa on the buttons here today, producing the show for us. Melissa, let's throw this up here. So, John, explain what happened. I'm just going to stop talking.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is a lot of people getting ready to take a nice swim that they weren't expecting to take that day while they were picking out their bananas, is what it looks like to me.
Wow. So, what happened in the situation? I believe it was BJ's warehouse, right? And water accumulates over time. 2 inches of water accumulates over a mass, area. And, I'm not in the industry. I'm new to the industry. I'm grateful to be here myself. Somebody who's watching this from afar, I know we don't know exactly what happened, But talk about, somebody who's an expert in the industry, that accumulation of water over time, or a short period of time, perhaps.
Yeah, a short period of time, a long period of time. Once water accumulates on roofs, we're starting to attract weight to the structure of the building that's not designed to hold that amount of pressure. The roof drains, if you can imagine a drain in your sink, a drain in your toilet, these roof drains are massive. You could put your head inside of one of these roof drains that carries this amount of water down to the storm system. And if that gets clogged, or if it can't handle the volume of water, then the water sits on top of the roof and just continues to gain weight and pressure.
Yeah, no kidding. It was so I know they're, I guess, looking into what happened and so forth, and I guess we'll continue to investigate the situation. And one of the things that I know we are excited about doing on this show is talking about the news in the industry and so forth. So we're going to introduce a segment to the show called the Roofer's Desk. And John, let's show the tie-in audience a couple of people they're going to get used to seeing, which is Hector and Randy. Check this out. So, John, the Roofing Alliance just seated its 26-27 board, and they picked an operator over an executive that says everything about where this industry thinks the real problems are. And one of the operators in that chair is sitting across from me right now. And that guy is well.
The Roofing Alliance seated its 2026-27 board.
And Kiesel's one of them now.
That seat usually goes to a suit from a billion-dollar contractor. Not this year. Workforce, research, disaster response. That's what this board actually decides for the next 12 months. I've watched Kiesel run crews for years. Good to see the industry finally put someone like that in the room. Keith and John dig into the rest of it themselves next.
Earned seat. Every crew he's run backs it up.
Our very own John Kiesel celebrating. John, so what does a Roofing Alliance trustee actually do week to week?
We're involved in the industry, Keith. I mean, everything that we do, everything that we communicate about, vote on, is designed to help the roofing industry take those next steps, whether it's a roofing center at Clemson University, where we're launching a roofing center to get into academia, where the trades are being researched and great things are happening, investing in foundation work with Ronald McDonald House. We just do great things, and it's just a blessing to be a part of such an elite group of people to move this needle and all the things we need to get done.
John, is there a big goal for 26-27? Like, is there a big goal for the Alliance to push on, to fund or fix in 26-27 that maybe the audience doesn't know about, or you'd want them to know about?
Well, for the things that I'm active in, and our guest is going to be active in, Steve Little's going to be the NRAP program. We're pushing the National Roofing Apprenticeship Program to help the ABC curriculum get more traction with the roofing apprenticeships.
Okay.
And move that across the country.
I'm new to all this, you guys. I'm new to this industry. John's, been really grateful to welcome me into it. And one of the things I keep hearing from you, and I want to keep learning from you and even Steve, is your guys' commitment to the entrepreneurship and the young men and women coming up in the industry. That really, I think talk to that quickly before we move on, John.
Well, that's the backbone of what we do, is the people that are putting the roofs on. I think we've heard Mark Zuckerberg is putting $15 million into the trades because we're not building data centers fast enough for him. So, we need to have people entering into this trade to continue to protect the infrastructure that we're running around and enjoying every single day.
It's awesome, because you just said something that I'm thinking that not many roofing shows are talking about, but we're talking on a roofing show, but you talked about Mark Zuckerberg. And I'm thinking that 20, 30, 40 years ago, I know you've been in the industry for, I believe, 30 years. You're not thinking about you're not talking Mark Zuckerberg, or it's things are changing.
Yeah, when the industries that we're depending on with the AI and the computing power realize that you can't put chips into something and have a roof appear. We need to have people appear. So it is an exciting moment in time to see the attention that all the trades, to be honest with you, needs to have placed on us so that we can give people great career paths, give people great earning potential, contribute in a way that they're gifted to contribute. And so for me, I think that's an amazing transition.
Yeah. Hey, you're live with Keith and John on the tie-in, the room where roofs actually get decided. Hey, guys, coming up next, diesel's down. Flatbed is up, and that's not a math error. It's actually a capacity story. And if you price Q3 jobs on Q2 freight assumptions, your freight line is probably underwater right now.
Flatbed just hit an all-time high, $2.96 a mile. That's 15 weeks straight climbing. Diesel's actually down this week. Doesn't matter. Capacity's the problem now, not fuel. Insulation, membrane, edge metal, dumpsters, it all rides a flatbed. Every job on my board just got more expensive to deliver. Quote Q3 off Q2 freight numbers, and you're already underwater.
That line item just ate somebody's margin.
John and Keith are running the full number next. Every contractor needs to hear this one.
Hey, John, so are you seeing freight volatility hit like delivered material pricing yet, or just logistics?
Yeah, the volatility in the industry is still with us. The material prices do seem to be rising, and those announcements are, coming in and projected out here. Well, they actually just hit us, I think, about a week or so ago, which includes freight as a justification for those price increases. And, with price increases comes demand. When you announce a price increase coming down the pike, guess what people do? We buy the materials faster than what they can produce them and make them. So we end up with, this cyclical activity where prices increase, we strain the system, and then we have delays. So yeah, it's definitely a vulnerable situation we're in right now.
So then, in the chair you're sitting in right now, is this just a short-term spot market spike that operators are going to overreact to, do you think? Or is this perhaps the new baseline through the rest of the year?
Well, we always hope it's a moment in time. Things settle down, things get back to normal. And as we, I think we kind of experienced this, since the pandemic, you start to have these yearly I think it's about every year now we end up with some sort of mini crisis that becomes kind of expected. It's not so much a surprise, and we kind of just deal with it and roll with the punches.
Yeah. Hey, so every commercial building owner who took a loan out in 2015 through 2020 is refinancing this year at a rate that is 150. Huge numbers, you guys. 100 paper they're replacing, and they're calling the roofing contractor saying, hey, how do I buy some time? Now, that question is going to reshape your Q4 pipeline. It already has. We got Randy and Hector with something to say.
Refi rates are sitting at 5.44 to 8.75% right now. That's a real jump from what most of these buildings financed at. Loans that close near 4.5% are refinancing near 6.5 now. That's not a rate change. That's a P&L event. Owners aren't calling for tear-off anymore. They're calling for a coating quote and a few more years. Buying time isn't the same as buying nothing. Coating capacity and service contracts are the moat right now. Keith and John break the whole number down next. Every contractor with a coating crew is about to find out.
Hey, John, what's Division 7 seeing in this space?
Well, I think that Hector nailed it for us out there. We're seeing a lot of attempts to prolong the life of a roof. Avoiding that capital expenditure, which is the largest capital expenditure a building owner will face when it comes to maintaining their property, is the roof. So pushing that out a few more years is definitely the motivation. Yeah.
So every truck, crane, drone, and laptop your company buys before New Year's Eve is 100% write-off. Now, that's not a loophole. That's the whole tax code now. Yet most operators haven't updated their 2026 CapEx plan yet. I know Hector and Randy got something to say about this too, I believe.
Section 179's cap just doubled, $2.5 million. Bonus demuration's permanent now. Every truck, every drone, deductible day one.
That's real cash staying in the business instead of going to the IRS. I know contractors already rewriting their Q4 buy list.
I've been telling contractors to buy the drone for 3 years. The tax code just caught up to me.
Don't buy it because it's deductible. Buy it because the crew needs it. That's the only math that matters.
Keith, John, this is your KPax conversation now.
Don't spend it all in one place.
All right, there's our very own Michelle. That wasn't Randy, Michelle. A little bit of language we got to teach Michelle. It's actually CapEx, Michelle. But hey, John, what's the number one CapEx move you'd make if you could write it off day one?
It's got to be the trucks. It's got to be the ability to control some of the delivery bottlenecks that we have in the industry. You know, we're counting on deliveries over the road and delays and crews, you know, sometimes being on site with a truck not in sight. So for me, if I was going to start spending some money on some big things, it would be internal trucking capabilities to control the flow to our jobs.
So this last story related to drones. So we got Melissa back there producing on the buttons over there. So I found something really cool. Now, as I'm getting to know you, you introduced drones to Division 7. Quickly, before we get to this, so check this out, guys. So John, I know this is inside, and I'm learning, guys. I'm learning roofs are on the outside. I know ceilings are inside and roofs are outside. So this really isn't a roofing drone, John, but pretty cool roof, pretty cool drone.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is controlled like a drone. It definitely is moving around like a drone. Drones are, you know, for our ability to take our imagery or to get a perspective of things that are up. Roofs are up, drones go up. It's like a no-brainer. You know, something that can get to a roof quickly and easily without having to climb a ladder to it. You know, that's a toy turned into a tool.
Coming up in a few minutes, we got him waiting patiently in the green room. We got Steve Little live. Yes, we do. You know, John, we talk about drones again, and this seems to be an industry ripe for drone usage, because if you could have used, you know, the expense of a helicopter, expense of the tools from the past, like the ability to put a camera up there, like nobody's business, that must have been a game changer for you quickly before we move next.
Oh my goodness, it definitely changed the way we operate. Our whole entire process has changed. The way we go about doing it, the way anybody can go about doing it, is something that everybody loves because it makes life easier, it makes life better, and we're getting better information. So this is one of those adoptions or tie-ins to something that's possible that I've never had any pushback about.
All right, so I got a fun little segment for you guys. As you guys get to know what this show is all about, to catch up with myself and John, and of course we got Steve and Ryan coming up over the week. So John, you know, as I said to you as we were building the show together, the point of this segment is to let the folks in that there's great stuff coming up. Just a little catch up on you and I. So you know, where do we want to start on this one? But we got to tease what's coming up. You know, we met about a month ago. We got an exciting man coming up here in a few moments. We got our cast of characters. Give me some thoughts on how exciting the last number of weeks has been to building up to this right now, John.
It's been a project that I'm just a little bit short on words. Everything about it's been exciting. Everything about it's been creative. Everything about it's been intentional. And for me, that's what makes me tick. Creativity, intentional, and execution. And seeing this come together in about a month, it's a remarkable accomplishment. I just got, you know, a little self applause for this. I'm serious. So
well, thank you for that. We're gonna continue with letting everybody in on knowing what we're building here and inviting you all into the conversation, into the platform that we're building. You know, John's gonna tease a little about that, talk a little bit, but John's also been teaching me, the outsider, the new guy to this industry, some did you know stuff. And I got a did you, so Hector's got a did you know, and I didn't know this. So this is sponsored by our good friends at Elevate, and we're gonna put this on the screen, and then I got some questions for John about this. Check this out, you guys.
Did you know FM 190? Everybody says it like they know what it means. Most of them are wrong.
The 980 is not wind speed, it is 980 pounds of uplift in the field. The corners, they see 153% more. That is why they leave first.
400 million a year.
In wind losses.
80% of the dollars?
Roofs,
Not the middle.
the edges. Keith,
John.
take it.
I think, John, I just get off the stage for this one because I don't know what he's talking about. Explained. And you know what? I wonder if there's a lot of dudes out there in the industry that are like, do you know what he's talking about? They're all nodding, but nobody wants to really admit that they don't know. John, what is it?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. You know, people say FM I-90. People say FM, one dash. People use this terminology very loosely, and especially in the specifications and in the design work of a building. There's a lot of educated people that really don't understand what in the heck it is. So I'll just give you a quick little background about it. FM is Factory Mutual. Factory Mutual is an insurance company. They insure the biggest brands on earth and their facilities. So they take this very seriously, and they put every component of a building through rigorous testing to make sure that failure points are limited. Liability is limited when you design things better. So they test every assembly for roofing, since we're talking about roofing, to hit a standard that will resist these pressures of 90 pounds per square foot on a roof, and how that roof is attached, and it's not going to blow away when those pressures hit that point. The 90, believe it or not, is doubled in Miami-Dade in Florida to 180. So when you're sitting in the middle of the heartland of the USA, we have 90. The roofs in Florida, the roofs in coastal regions, these things are hanging out there, just taking all the abuse and the engineering that goes into that. Very few give credit to.
We're going to bring the Did You Know segment every week to teach me something and maybe teach somebody else something along the way. But our very own Hector's got this coming up next.
This segment brought to you by Elevate. 45 years making the systems we put on real buildings. You want to keep learning what actually matters up here? Hit that subscribe button every week. Real roofing, no hype, no fluff, from guys who have done the work.
That is it from the field. Elevate has got the systems, you have got the roof. Keith, John, bring it home.
100,000 people have sat underneath this roof. This is AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. 660,000 square feet of roof above my head. The man who roofed this building never expected to be in roofing at all. Steve Little spent 25 years in Super Bowls, World Series, Olympics. Not one day on a roof. A chance meeting with another parent at his daughter's cheer competition pulled him into the roofing world. He went to work under a roofer named Keith Post. Then they walked out and started their own. Steve wrote a business plan. $6 million, then 8, then 10. Home by 5. 100 employees, tops. That was the ceiling. He was wrong about the ceiling. He built the company like a football team. Offense, defense, special teams. Made himself the head coach. A decade later, a different building needed a roof. Same guy, a pandemic, a World Series played under it. Somewhere right now, a contractor is staring at their own ceiling, wondering if they wrote it too low. Stay with us. Steve's about to show you how to raise it. Steve, welcome to the tie-in.
Oh, I'm excited about this conversation. We got Steve Little in the lab here. And John, I told you before the show that I was just going to kind of do this part. I know my lane. I'm going to get out of the way because I want to sit back and have some storytelling with Steve and John and get into it. So Steve, John, I'm getting out of here. You guys have some fun. John, I'm throwing the camera to you, my friend.
Hey,
Mr. Little.
how are we doing, guys? What a great show and what a great idea.
I'm loving it, and I can't thank you enough for having the faith to join us on our first show, where things can go severely wrong or take a wrong turn.
I got in this business and I've been a guinea pig for 25 years now with my partner Keith and Jane, who we started the company with, and they both are industry veterans, and just like Keith, I had to learn the business here. So all your shows, the segments that you're going to have, you're going to really get to educate him.
I think we might have had John freeze there for a quick second there. So Steve, let's continue it. So I got to be honest with you. You saw the opener. First impressions of seeing yourself again, maybe in that storytelling. Texas Stadium. Take me back, because I actually know I want to go. I got to go here with you first of all. Take me back to the moment where you weren't supposed to be in the industry. Then you end up in the roofing industry.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was in the sports license product industry, and we were working for the Staubachs. And they had invested in a computer accessory company that had a bunch of inventory. And instead of manufacturing it themselves, they went out in the marketplace and bought a bunch of inventory and brought it in into the country. And all of a sudden the New England Patriots decided to change their logo, and they had like $90,000 worth of inventory. There was like, oh crap, what do I do now? And fortunately, the leagues allowed us a way to be able to exit with the product. But we made that company profitable and sold it. And our daughter was in cheerleading with a contractor.
Yeah,
we became very friendly. And one day they were thinking of selling their company, and I'm a business guy, and they asked me to look at the books. And next thing you know, they didn't sell of it, and I came to work for them. And KeithPost and I became very friendly, and Jane, Keith, and I started the business back in November of 2003.
There's a story within that story, isn't there, Steve, where, there's a lot of humans, there's a lot of men, women out there who don't know what their path's going to be. You ended up in a path. You embraced it, you wrapped your arms around it, and let's be frank, it changed your life.
It did. Once you get into roofing, once you get into subcontracting, it is hard to get out. You just become part of the process. And when you realize you drive down the streets and you see all these buildings that you've been part of, from the conceptual part all the way to the actual final product, and you realize that they're housing businesses and they're making lives for humans, and that you were part of building that. Just like building AT&T Stadium, or whether it be Globe Life Field, or coming back and re-roofing the American Airlines Center, or the Toyota Arena down in Houston. I mean, you become part of people's sports, which takes me back to being in the sports business, which takes me back to being a head coach. And so it's really been a fulfilling career, and we're not done yet. Okay, so we still have a few things up our sleeve.
When the fellow was building my house, I said to him, "You're building a legacy." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you're building something for my family." And I look to all the people that have enjoyed the impact you have had by what you do for a living. Right? You think about that, because people can take it for granted, and I mean that seriously.
Well, all of us contractors are humbled, and I will promise you that at the beginning of your show, you said there's a lot of gratitude, that John had a lot of gratitude to be part of this, and Keith and Jane and I do too. We were very fortunate that our chemistry worked. We pulled it together. We had a lot of strategic partners and vendors that helped us. We hired great people, and then as a good coach, you get out of the way and you let those players play. And I'm telling you, we have some great players, and we've scored more points than we've had penalties, and we've built a very nice business.
So good coaches build good teams, and I got a great teammate, my friend John Kiesel. So John, you passed it off to me there. We had a little blip in the tech. I'm going to pass myself out of here and let you continue with this wonderful conversation with Steve Little.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened to the internet. All of a sudden, that's one of those glitches you have in the real world. But, Steve, I just wanted to talk about the NRAP program. If you could help explain a little bit about what that looks like and the mission of it. I think it's an outstanding initiative, and I'd just like to hear a little bit more about it.
Well, John, you mentioned earlier about the Center for Roofing that's at Clemson University. It is the single first center of any kind of trade in the construction industry. There's a center for lumber and a center for concrete and things like that, but the trade of the assembly of the product, we have a Center for Roofing at Clemson, and that was the end game of creating a college courses in School of Constructions for people to join the roofing industry. Historically, they spend 4 hours a year in construction management, learning anything about building envelope. And now we actually have a 12 credit courses that are available at a number of universities across the country. Well, to that point, the Alliance and the NRCA realized that we have some great tools to onboard some folks in our industry, whether they be white collar or blue collar, but we weren't part of the apprenticeship world. You hear electrical, plumbing, HVAC, join the trades, get your certifications, and join our construction industry. But roofing, come on, we're food, water, and shelter. We're the shelter part of this gig. And there was no apprenticeship program for it. So once the Alliance, which, by the way, congratulations for being a director. It's a great organization. Once the Alliance had finished their initiative to bring roofing to the attention of high schools and secondary schools through Skills USA, there was a gap between let them know what kind of industry that we have on the Skills USA part, and then being in roofing and being part of pro certification, and then going into the college side of the business. There was no merit shop apprenticeship program. The unions have a great apprenticeship program going, and they had apprenticeship in that group, but unfortunately, it's only like 8 to 10% of our roofing workforce. So 90%, 92% we're missing out on no entry into getting into the blue collar part of our industry.
Yeah, and that's fascinating because we're looking at people with energy to approach the industry through the skills, and that gets you to one point, and then to take it from there to continue with a structured learning path, it drops off and becomes on the job training. So, trying to continue to move that initiative into a structured learning environment that keeps people engaged and continuing to fuel their fire to learn is really the mission we're kind of on here, I think.
We are. We have three partners that are helping us do this. First of all, it's a roofing alliance that has worked with the NRCA. Roofing Alliance is the foundation of the NRCA, and they got together with the NCCER, which is a governing body for all apprenticeships across the country. There's 47 different apprenticeships. And then ABC, Associated Building Contractors, and that group has 67 training centers across the country. So the first time in the history of roofing, we have taken three organizations and brought them together. We have the curriculum and the training tools and the actual testing from the NCCER. We have the blessing and the technical aspect that was inserted into the curriculum from the NRCA, the National Roofing Contractors Association. And we have ABC, the Associated Building Contractors, that have the training centers together. Our job as NRAP at the National Roofing Apprenticeship Program is to pull these three parties together, incubate the program, and drive students to the apprenticeship side of the business.
Yeah, and that drive is going to come from providing an attractive training program where there's skilled professionals helping to guide that, and they feel that they're, entering into this structured environment that's put on and developed the appropriate way so that when they're on the job they're learning things that make sense. And I think that's really as subject matter experts in the industry and how we like to teach, that's really where we can help influence the success and failures. And I'm looking forward for Division 7 in Ohio to carry that burden, to carry that ball and do our part.
Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, John, and Steve on the tie-in, this brand new show. We're reimagining the roofing industry. And, you guys said something that strikes, you both keep talking about people. And you guys both strike me as nothing short of having ambition. John, as I continue to get to know you, and Steve, as I'm getting to know you, you have plenty of ambition. I found a really interesting Mark Twain quote that I wanted to throw on the table. And the quote goes like this, keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. And I can only think, Steve and John, somebody said to one of you along the way your entire life that, no, you're not going to do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. And at some point in our life, we say to ourselves, we don't want to surround ourselves with those kind of people. So John, I want to go to you next. What does this quote mean to you in business? Like just in life in general? John Kiesel.
Yeah, it's one of those moments in time that you probably won't forget. The put down, the shutdown, it won't work. It's never going to work. And unfortunately, people that have that ability to be influenced, they're going to cave to that. But for me, it just fueled the fire. It just made it more desirable. And they're like, thank you. Now I have to show you. And I want that even more than what the whole goal was to begin with. It's just to prove that it can be done and it should be done, and that's just how it's going to go. But we do have people. We need to have balance. We can't go off the rails. So I appreciate really guidance and giving me that devil's advocate perspective. But we all have those people. But I think they get less and less the older you get.
What about you, Steve? What kind of wisdom would you throw on the table to that statement?
I think that's a great statement. I think the naysayers are the ones that fuel the tank to drive the engine. Roofers do not have a very good reputation on the consumer side of the business. We have a lot of stormers that hit the streets. They knock on the doors. They want to do your roof, and then the press gets a hold of that. Those 2 or 3 people that did not fulfill the contracts that needed to be done, and now it's paintbrushed across the board. The roofers are just crap. They're just, you got to watch out for those guys. Those are the shaky ones that are in the industry. And I'm telling you, we're the folks that put lifetime warranties roofs on your homes. We're the folks that cover the stadiums and the hospitals and the data centers. We're covering your schools where our kids go to school, and providing a coverage, building envelope coverage for our universities to further bring more wisdom and responsibility from the students that are going there. We're the good guys. And I'm so excited about this show because I see the show doing two things. First of all, I see it really helping our industries. Contractors that didn't have resources to go to be able to talk to real contractors or people that are at the table, like you guys were talking about earlier in your opening.
Yeah.
And then second of all, the consumers. This is going to catch fire. It's going to be distributed through social media. People are going to grab this. They're going to say, hey, wait a second. That John Kiesel guy, he said blah, 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 blah. I'm going to ask my contractor about this. And we're going to raise the level of professionalism in our roofing industry. So really cool to be part of this.
So John, you introduced me to something. I think maybe this is a good time to have this conversation because you said something, Steve, about roofers not having a good reputation. Well, John, we were talking about, an incident that happened at Texas Stadium, I believe. Melissa, let's run it. And I believe a piece of metal fell from.
Oh no!
But I believe it's a chance for us because I learned something. It wasn't the roof.
Correct. It was not the roof.
And it's funny because Kiesel was like, Keith, when you look up, what do you see? I'm like, well, the ceiling. He goes, yeah, but yet everyone's like the roof. But it was so. John, can you set this up for us while we're talking about this, so you guys can teach me a little bit what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, Steve could give us the insight into what really happened, but I, sitting there watching football that day and seeing this piece of metal flutter down to the field, the first thing that came to my mind was Steve Little put this roof on, and I think the announcer may have said a piece of metal came down from the roof, and it's like, it's not the roof. The roof's above what we're looking up at. It would be kind of impossible.
Yeah, it is ironic that every time something happens at AT&T Stadium, whether it was during the Super Bowl and the ice fell off the roof during that time period, or if it's that piece of metal that fell down, that air conditioning housing that fell down from the ceiling, my phone blows up, and my friends in the industry are, what'd you do this time, Little? Well, I thought you guys were safety, quality, value. What the hell's going on over there? And the reality is that you have different elements that impact the roof. We have a lot of HVAC people, a lot of electrical people, a lot of plumbers that get on our roofs or work in the ceilings of the roofs that we put down. And they don't necessarily have the same process of managing the roof that we might have. They're managing their particular areas of responsibility. And one thing leads to another, and the building leaks or something falls off, and it's the roofer's fault.
So, John, if I may ask this, and Steve, so I got to think of I'm a big fan of the moment behind the moment. So, where were you in the moment? But I'm thinking the night before you had no belief that you were getting a call from maybe Jerry Jones. Somebody's calling you to say, "This is happening," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is happening." It's not the roof. Now you got to go into communications control. There's talk from the business sense, Steve. Talk about you as reacting, all that scenario.
Well, first of all, let's clear the air on Jerry Jones and the Jones family. Some of the best professionals that I work with in the 28 years of being in this industry. Great people to work with. They have a great team of folks. And so what does happen is those team of folks call our folks who manage their account, or they call our operations teams. That manage the account. And you're Johnny on the spot, because you don't just, even these roofs are 20 to 30 year warranties that are on them. Once you do a roof for somebody, you are part of that fiber now to the next time that they need to have that roof re-roofed. You're servicing it on an annual basis. You're giving them assessments for what their maintenance costs will be for 5 years. You're their partner. You're their building envelope partner.
John, it's legacy we talk. Hey, John Kiesel, it's legacy. You're part of something for a long time.
That's what makes us grow. That's what makes us stay in business for as long as we've stayed in business, is doing the right thing for a long time. People can start up a business, get a few Google ratings, but they don't tell the story of how they've responded to adversity over time. this is the differentiator when it comes to a business and how long you've been in business is you've responded to situations and people appreciated it. And that's to me, that's the legacy we're talking about.
Hey, Keith, how
700
Sorry, Steve. Sorry about that.
750 billion square feet.
That's commercial roof in this country alone.
So what if every square foot came due same 12 months?
Doesn't, won't. Let's say it did.
What breaks first? The labor. Every time.
The specification.
Every time.
Keith,
John.
settle it.
All right, you're back with Keith, John, and Steve. Steve, I incorrectly muted you there quickly. You had a question for me as we're coming out of that last segment.
Yeah, I wanted to know how many roofs you've been on.
You know, I mean, roofs are roofs. You know what? I have not been on many roofs, and I don't actually know if I've been on. Well, I've been on some commercial buildings, and when I worked in the corporate world, Steve, at the top. But I got to be honest, I have not been on plenty at all. And I love engineering, and I'm fascinated by them, though.
So are you familiar with the integrity of sports, whether it be golf or pickleball or tennis or soccer or football, or watch a lot of World Cup right now, football, to where the players need to call themselves out when something's not right. Yeah. And there has to be a lot of integrity in it. Well, our clients don't typically get on the roofs. They only call when there's a problem. So what we do when we install our roofs is we have to have the integrity to install them the way that our manufacturers intended them to be and to the guidelines and technical services of the NRCA. So Elevate's one of our sponsors here on the show. Yeah. And the reality is that they provide us a format of how they want us to install that roof because they're taking the 20-year risk that roof is going to perform.
You know, and that's a true story, Keith.
Well, you know what's crazy about this is that, so what you're saying to me, just I want to paraphrase this. So I'm cutting you a check for gazillions of dollars. And usually when we own something, we like to feel it and put it in our pocket. But I'm trusting you that I'm buying this. I'm probably not ever going up there. I'm never trusting the integrity of it. So I'm actually trusting the integrity of you.
Yes. And the men and women that do the install.
Oh, yeah.
People that communicate on a regular basis. And that's why people are so important to us.
Of course.
You know, John and I manage the emotional intelligence of people. It's not just the roofing product because there's, you know, Elevate's a great worldly owned company.
Yes.
And they do a really good job of taking care of us and take care of our clients. But we have to take care of our people so they'll show up the next day. We've got to provide the ability for them to get the compensation that they need to be able to take care of their families. So we concentrate more of our time there.
So John, this is why I was so excited to do this with you, because this to me is not what I grew up with as roofing. And I mean that with compliment and love, because we're talking about so much more. We're talking business integrity. We're talking, you know, I'm not saying that's not part of it, but I grew up in blue collar families. My family's in the construction industry and so forth. And when I think about what we're talking about right now and people and leadership and you know, there's just so much fun things you guys are doing right now.
It's a massive machine, Keith.
It is.
We're navigating very, very big liabilities, the world's biggest brands, the things that are inside of these structures, and navigating a lot of stressful situations. You know, people do not want to have their building converged on by 25, 30 people jumping up over their heads and starting to rumble around and make noise. That is not a soothing experience. If someday, Keith, if you happen to be in a building someday and people are putting a roof on it, you're going to start feeling a little bit nervous. And our roofs take a year and a half to get completed. I mean, we're talking about major infrastructure. In that last segment, you know, if all the roofs became due all at the same time, it would be a disaster, right? There's no real reality to it, but you know, that puts me into the perspective of preventive maintenance. That's the perspective of how well the roof was installed. Because if every roof was installed today, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of roofs failing at year maybe 5, 10, 15. And that's probably part of how it was installed. And then once it gets past that, it's about how well it's maintained. So just the natural evolution of a roof, it has a major component of how it was installed and how it's maintained.
Hey, John.
You're hanging out with Keith, John, and Steve Little today on our brand new show called The Tie-In over on the Roofing Authority Network. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Hey, John, I'm going to step out of here for a few more minutes. You guys can wrap up a little bit before we bring in the Above the Line segment that I know you're excited to talk a little bit about that one as well. A brand new sponsored feature by Elevate, Above the Line. But I'm going to get out of here for a few minutes, John, and we'll let you guys wrap up with Steve before we keep the show going on. All right, John?
Let's go.
All right.
Hey, John, I think it's kind of cool that you've got this show going to where you're going to talk about what's going to happen in the next 50 years. And Keith mentioned, what's changed. And I think we were just talking about it, managing the emotional intelligence of our employees, the technology that comes into place, the expectations of quick answers now with technology, with phone and texting and AI and everything that's there. But we came from an industry that was generational. Grandfathers and fathers and sons and daughters, took over for their families. And now it's become a lot more corporate because keeping those people outside on the roof or keeping them in the trades is so much harder today.
Yeah, and I think that, the technology component and just the awareness of opportunity. When I started roofing, it was, I'm making enough money. I'm feeling great about myself. I wasn't bombarded with, hey, you could be this, hey, you could be that, hey, apply here, hey, apply there. We got a new job. You can go to work in a warehouse, make $25. The information wasn't readily available to view another path. Today, we're in a competitive arena that every day somebody's being presented with 20 different ideas on how to take care of yourself and earn a living.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy the competition that we have just to have good people. But all of our companies of any kind of scale, we have HR, we have purchasing, we have inventory control, we have IT, and we haven't even gotten to the roof yet. I mean, there's so many opportunities in our industry for people. And so although we've created this National Roofing Apprenticeship Program so that when people mention HVAC, plumbing, electrical, the fourth thing that comes out of their mouth, damn sure better be roofing here after their first year.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, and maybe you could help me out with this. But for me, one of the most important hires that I made when we were growing and transitioning from me and George wearing many hats was hiring somebody to handle HR.
Yeah,
handing somebody that connected with our people, somebody that was naturally born to care and nurture and hire, right, and build relationships with our staff and be dedicated at full time. And when people, maybe you can weigh in on this, but when newer people around the industry, maybe the best of success. And hey, John, what did you do? What changed the way Division 7? What happened at Division 7 allowed you to grow? I think it was the HR department that was a big key for us. How about you?
Yeah, I think so too. It's the emotional intelligence of the employees. It's the life, the cycle of life that we're in today. There were before the fathers worked until 67, 80 hours a week, and that was that they were workaholics. And then we got into the 70s, and now we had two partners that were out there working. And the kids saw what both parents were working and what they were trying to accomplish, and they were like, "Hey, I want more quality of life. I want more of this. I want more of that." And it turned around and put the pressure on us as employers now to be able to offer more quality of life at work. It is not a just get in there and bust ass for 40 or 50 hours a week. You've got to show quality and compassion, and you've got to be able to build gratitude.
Hey, you're reimagining the roofing industry. Myself, I'm Keith. That's John. This is Steve. Right over there, up next, Above the Line. Hey, John, when we were putting this segment together, you kept saying, I want to celebrate somebody. So I was like, we're going to celebrate somebody. Tease this segment. We're going to do it weekly. We're going to celebrate somebody in the industry. What was your view on Above the Line, John Kiesel?
The amazing people in our industry and the people that show up, we're at events, we're showing up and dedicating our time, effort, and energy and standing out just by being consistent. And it's obvious, the people that are the pioneers, the people that are sticking their neck out first to communicate about the industry, sticking their necks out to talk about change, disruptors, big freight, the big term disruptor. These people, they're out there, and I just want to bring them to life. And we thought about, well, maybe we could make it the women in roofing. Maybe we could make it this in roofing, maybe that in roofing. Like, no, it's just the people that are standing out. I don't care if you're man, woman, or whatever. We're just going to highlight you, and we're going to talk about that. And I think it's a tremendous thing to do to honor everybody.
So, Steve, do we know who the first person we're celebrating here today on our new site? And if you do, you can't say, but I'm excited about this. And listen, here's what I'm excited about. People aren't seeing the kind of thing way we're celebrating these folks. So, Steve, do you know who we're celebrating?
I'm not saying.
Oh.
Above the line, every week, this seat moves. New city, new rooftop, same job. Today, we're above Detroit, and we're here for one reason. Her name is Jill Bloom, 27 years at BNP Media, Executive Director of Roofing Contractor, Walls and Ceilings, Building Enclosure, and Roofing Supply Pro. 2003, 75 contractors in a room. Now, 21st year running, 500 contractors and counting. She didn't wait for the industry to build a room. She built the room the industry teaches itself. Last spring, an ice storm takes down the roofs across northern Michigan. She drove 4 hours north with an 11-man crew, house by house, neighbor by neighbor. Jill said it best, a place where ideas ignite, relationships flourish, and legacies are built. Above the line isn't a segment, it's a standard. Jill Bloom said it, we just build the room around it.
Gentlemen, we're celebrating Jill Bloom. John, why are we starting off with Jill Bloom? Jill, surprise!
That's fire right there, Keith. That is just, oh my gosh. Why are we celebrating Jill Bloom? Like, why wouldn't we celebrate Jill Bloom?
Rhetorical question. Come on.
I love it.
When I started roofing back in the late 80s and going into that old, like, we have beautiful shops and offices now, right, Steve? Like, but my first experience in roofing was like an abandoned ice cream factory in Braddock, Pittsburgh. But I still remember walking into what was the office, the prettiest section of this old abandoned ice cream factory. There was Roofing Contractor magazine sitting on the end table when you were sitting to or walk by to pick up your paycheck so you can go cash it that Friday. But it's the publication that brings us to all the things that are going on. It's a connective tissue.
Yeah, John, I feel like it's more than that. I've been involved. I don't know how many of Best of Successes. You spoke eloquently last year. I thought your subject was just so good, talking about the importance of character and integrity and deliverables. But Jill Bloom single-handedly has created a platform that this industry can learn from each other on. And I remember the first one that I went to, there was like 50 or 60 people there, and she was doubting herself on if this was the right thing to do. And there was a lot of costs. There was a lot of stuff that went on there. And then there was over 500 people there last year. And there was so much networking going on. And there's this energy in the room. And I need a show just to tell you how great Jill Bloom is.
You want to know if a roof's going to hold? Don't look at the crew. Look at the paper they were handed. That's where it lives or dies.
If you spec commercial roofs, this show is for you too. Not just the crew that installs them. The tie-in. Subscribe.
You're still doing the thing.
What? What thing?
That might be the best story I've ever heard. Full stop. Don't repeat that.
Told him already. Guest number one, and he's already got you like this.
All right, John, Keith, take it from here. Break down what that man just taught us.
Yeah, so true story, Kiesel. The reality was Little was supposed to be out of here today. For those of you getting to know me, I'm a last name kind of guy. I'm a hockey guy. I'm from Canada, so I'm a last name guy. So I got Little, I got Kiesel here. And Little, you were supposed to be out because this is part of the show where Kiesel and I reflect on how awesome you are.
Well, take me out, guys. It was a great time.
No, we'd love to have you stay, actually. We'd love to have you. Can you stick around or do you got to rock and roll?
I got to get going here. Unfortunately, I have another meeting tied up here. It's a late Friday afternoon, and roofing still goes on, gents.
Yeah. John, some final words for Steve.
Thank you, Steve. How do they do? The little heart hands. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on.
This was really great. If this is what the future of roofing is all about, I can't wait to the next episode.
Steve Little, next week.
Yep.
Steve Little, so kind of you. Thanks for joining us on the inaugural episode of The Tie-In. You can find Steve at KPost Company, right? KPostCompany.com, Steve? Is that what it is?
That's the one. Yep.
Awesome. Steve, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you along the way. All right, we're going to walk Steve out of the lab, and we're going to continue the show with myself and my friend, John Kiesel. So, John, dude, that was as awesome as I was hoping it was going to be. I suspect we're going to have the young man back a few times.
Anytime he wants to step into the conversation, I think we should allow him in.
I love it. So, hey, listen, let's keep the show on the road here, John. So, again, there's a theme happening here. And it's clear to me that the theme that continues to emerge from our conversation today, getting things done. You have an ambition to get things done for the next 50 years. And, I want to introduce maybe a fun segment to the show around this idea of the power of acting versus doing. And John, I'm an AI guy, as you get to know me, and your industry, you're doing more AI. Well, somebody asked Claude. They asked this question. They said, if you were a human, what unconventional technique, and I'll simplify it for us because these are big words for me too, was unconventional technique would you do to manifest your desires? I'm like, what? Essentially, how do you act like something's true? And it struck me as I've been getting to know you and talk about your story on the roof with, what kind of mop was it again, John Kiesel?
It wasn't a wet mop. It was a hot mop full of hot 350-degree burning, bubbling asphalt. Yes.
But what struck me though is that, Claude, this AI is saying, stop thinking or wanting or gonnaing and start doing. And I met you, we talked, you saw some stuff we were creating, and then, hey, Melissa, my producer and partner, we were then doing. So, John, why is it so hard for people to do?
It has to be the execution. It has to be the pain of execution that makes things just fall off the table, lose ambition. When I set my sights on that hot mop that senior man was wielding, there was nothing going to stop me from it. I was a really skinny person back then, and certainly not intimidating. But I may have had to, yell at somebody pretty violently and took that mop if I had to.
So, but again, what struck me is that you just took it and you started doing it. So doing it is the key. And it's often hard for people to do, which is you started doing. And then when you started doing, you became. Again, that's the difference for folks. We wanna, but you became. John Kiesel.
You got to do it. You've got to put in the work.
Well, you know what? Putting in all the work and all the hard work has brought us to this point, which I'm really excited about, which is really kind of the main conversation, John. We got a little transition to what's next. We're going to get into why Keith and John are here. You guys are going to get a sense of John's vision for this, and we're going to share more about what's happening with the tie-in.
Coming up next is the tie-in.
Tie-in is the first place a roof leaks. You sure you want to call it that?
He really just roofed the segment name.
It's not that kind of tie-in, Hector. Every tie-in's the same kind. Somebody's got to make sure it holds.
And that's why we're here. John, Keith, let's go.
All right, that's Randy, that's Hector, and that's Blair, our brand new cast of characters, the universe that Keith and John are creating as part of the tie-in. Kiesel, I'm going to start off, man. What's up, Kiesel? The whole last month has been crazy, and now we are here. Why are we here?
We're here to bring the roofing industry into the place where it matters. And I guess it's fortunate. It matters everywhere. So the roofing industry, the tie-ins, the metaphors, the way we approach things on roofs, I believe it has a place in pretty much everywhere in life.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Let's lean into the name. Everybody who's listening right now and will listen later, wondering why the name, the tie-in. And you've been hearing us speak about connecting the past to the future. And I'm new to the space. I know nothing about the roofing industry. So I says, John, what are we going to do for a name? He's like, the tie-in. And I started digging into why. And John, I love it because, I'm going to try as the guy outside. The tie-in is when you connect the old roof to the new roof, right?
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah,
grasshopper.
You did teach me well, but isn't that the coincidence or irony? I don't know. I always get confused with Alanis Morissette's terms there, whether it's coincidence or irony. But is it ironic that the name of the show is the tie-in, where you have this vision, John? Talk about your vision for tying in the last 50 years. We got a segment coming up, John Kenny, the roofing history segment we got coming up. Talk to me about your vision for the past, bringing it to the future.
Love that. So the tie-in is where we do work across these roofs, and we're replacing the old roof with a new roof. This is the most critical part of a roof, in the roofing process. As we watch that flood hit out in that BJ's, that's a lot of water we're holding up from a building every time we're working our way across it. Those materials do not want to bond to each other. They don't like each other. It seems like they put up a really strong fight to not seal together. So we're hanging out there vulnerable throughout a project because of this tie-in, or we say in life transition. These are the parts where we have to watch it. We have to maintain it. We have to put our strongest person, our strongest people to look over it and nurture these tie-ins. So to me, that's what the roofing industry does. We tie in our activities that matter to everybody, because everybody's under us. Because you know what happens, Keith, if you don't have a roof?
Yeah, you have a fence.
That's right, the fence.
Breaking news, a severe storm is making its way through the city. Let's go to the live feed.
The third quarter projections appear solid. We must maintain this momentum. Sector 4 is taking on water. Membrane is breached.
Deploy the Defender.
We don't just build roofs, we hold the line. We protect your business.
You're hanging out with Keith and John on the tie-in. John, tell us a little bit about that commercial you guys threw together for the wonderful Division 7. What a great commercial, my friend. Talk about the future of the industry, John Kiesel. That's not a roofing commercial.
That's the future of the roofing industry right there. As long as we stay on the tracks and we think about things a little bit differently, like we did. The Defender is our preventive maintenance program that we go out, we do these preventive maintenance inspections. We have a whole program wrapped around, the commitment to a relationship with us, and the concept of bringing the Defender into a Marvel comic type of atmosphere. And had a conversation with you, Keith, and you just knocked it out of the park after 10 minutes of discussion. And 1 week later, this thing lands, and now it's airing on mainstream ABC every single morning during the morning news. And actually, it aired on the World Cup. So
there you go.
That's the kind of stuff we do.
Keith and John hanging out with you guys on a brand new show. We are reimagining the roofing industry live every week, right on a brand new. John, I've got to throw it out there, my friend. I got to put it out there. Melissa, let's put it on the screen. John, this is bigger than the tie-in, my friend. This is just a smidgen. The tie-in is part of what, my friend? It is part of the Roofing Authority Network. John Kiesel.
That's what we're building. That's what we're building, Keith. A place for everybody.
Yes, a place for everybody. Guys, we are building the Roofing Authority Network. It is a brand new place for live conversations, live shows, intelligence, and a brand new take on the roofing industry. So, and what you're going to see is a space coming to life in real time, right? So, truthfully, admittedly, if you guys went there today, you're going to get a sense of what's happening over there today. But, if you're interested in what we're doing, We're going to talk more about that later on in the show, about how you guys can get more involved with myself and John on the Roofing Authority Network and get a show like the tie-in. But John, as we keep the show going here, I want to, before we get to history of roofing with John Kenny, I can't believe we're already wrapping up here very shortly. Talk to me quickly. What excites you most about what we are doing here on this new show called The Tie-In?
It's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's exciting. It's not, informing and boring. It's bringing things to life that just brings the excitement to what we're doing, which is the key to people wanting to join it and feel confident and changing the persona of the.
Changing the persona of the industry. I love that because there's something to be said for that, isn't there?
Why not us? Why
Yes.
not the roofing industry? Let us be first. Let us be exciting first. Let us get the attention first and not last. So I just want to knock this out of the park.
Let's talk a little bit about this brand new segment that we want to add to the table here, which is a rare and dramatic rooftop operation at the Coleman Company. Neiman, I'm going to give you the link here. I think you might not have it with you here. So I'm going to, there's a couple of views there in Notion. One's not showing up properly here. So guys, there is, talk to me about John Kenny. You said to me, Keith, John's doing some really cool stuff around the history of roofing. And while producer Melissa is getting the segment prepared to us, and before we talk about the segment, let's set it up, John. Talk about John Kenny, what he's doing, and what struck you about his work with the history of roofing.
Yeah, John Kenny, I consider him a friend of mine. We've had a lot of conversations over the years, and he's a passionate roofing industry guy. And right now, I believe he's with the Cottony Consulting Group, and he's teaching people how to estimate and how to understand how to price projects. And he's also passionate about where we've been as an industry over the past, 200 years, 250 years, and how those activities have taken place. And somewhere, I don't know where he's getting them. He weekly, a couple of times a week, is posting really cool stuff about historical data he's found and old clippings, and bringing a story about that clipping that he's dug up. So it's a lot of research and a lot of effort.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring this this clip up here. There's a clip of a there we go, this chopper. So I was putting the show together with John. We were working out earlier today, and I said, John, this image is striking, and I said to John, not a lot of safety going on in that image, because I've been learning from John about the obvious safety in this industry. But this photograph, whoever's just listening right now, I would invite you guys to watch the show and go tune into the tie-in channel on YouTube. John, this photograph captures a rare and dramatic rooftop operation at the Coleman Company plant where an S-61 Sikorsky helicopter used to lift large water chilling units onto the roof in the middle of a snowstorm. Why couldn't they wait, John? And I'm serious.
Well, I'm going to assume back then probably has this tie into today, where they're building a building. There's a schedule in place that people are going to occupy a facility, and you got to hold that line and get the building on schedule. It's a schedule.
So, but yes, I get that. But hold on. Hey, to everybody here, I'm the new guy to this, so I understand the schedule, but dude, there's a blizzard happening. Can't we just wait till the blizzard's over?
I don't think so. When you have you won't believe the amount of liability and risk when you're phasing out a big building, a new construction building. The next trade has to start. If they don't hit their starting date and they get pushed back 6 months, the store doesn't open or the facility doesn't open. The helicopter's scheduled. If he doesn't do it that day, he can't do it for another 6 months. There's always these tight lines. But I will agree with you. Yes, a blizzard might be an extreme circumstance where we may have to consider, life and limb first, but probably back then they were just a little more reckless.
Yeah, but you're right, because there are so many players involved that one domino stops, it causes everything, right? And on multi-gazillion-dollar projects. So seriously, John, who are making those big decisions at that point? Like we're talking, like who's making that final call? Because that call affects everybody in the chain.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's who's making the call or how are those calls structured and at what levels these calls are made at. Down on the people on the ground may be saying, yeah, no, we're not going to do this. And then the next thing you know, some CEO or somebody way high up in the food chain gets a phone call, and the phone call comes down like, we just got a call from the big boss. Like, we're going to do this. Okay, well, I guess that just changed our mind. So, you just have people, loss aversion kicks in. We've come this far. We have to go.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to do this segment every week. We're going to do a history of roofing and lean into the past, because the past is what gets us to the future. John, we're wrapping up, my friend. We're bringing ourselves to the close here. We're building a community. We're building a network. How can folks get involved with what you're building? What we're building, I should say. Sorry. Yeah. What are we? So
yeah. It's a teamwork, dreamwork situation.
Yeah, we got shows, sponsorships, commercials, media services, reimagining the roofing industry. Throwing the tennis ball to you, my friend.
I think it's as simple as a reach out. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Shoot me an email. I'll be at the NRCA meetings next week and talking to all the folks that are moving these needles with every initiative known to man when it comes to the roofing industry. So I'll be there. I'll be around that engagement. But I think you just reach out to us, Keith, me, have a conversation, and let's get something going.
I hope you guys like what we're doing. We're trying something new here. We're trying to reimagine the roofing industry. Again, if I can get a little personal for a second, and just say thanks to everybody. I've been warmly invited in, working with some great folks, Steve and Ryan and John, and I'm really loving the energy, and I'm really loving John's vision for this, and I'm really grateful to be a part of it. And as John said, we'd love to have you a part of it as well. So whether that is shows, whether it's media services, whether it's sponsorship, whether it's curiosity about what we're doing here, using AI to build intelligence and so forth, we would love to be a part of that. Or maybe creating your own universe like we are, like our friends Hector and Michelle.
You don't leave this trade at the site. It comes home with you. Every seam, every callback, every crew you couldn't save.
The tie-in shows the trade with the shift boots still on. Follow the whole story. Subscribe.
So can you hear this tune, John, playing?
I can.
Yeah. So, I made this song a number of years back, and I've now just found a reason for it. It might be our wrap up part of the show. It might be the song that works towards wrapping us up. Actually, because you kind of need a closer song. And I got to be honest, our show was longer than probably normal. We had so much to do today. How much fun was this today, brother?
It was more fun than I ever could have imagined. Once we get started, it starts to build a little momentum for me internally. But I've had so much fun. I mean, it might be one of the funnest things I've done in the last, 20 years.
Yeah, this is fun. And to those of you that are tuning in and watching, we'll see this later. We're just getting started. We are absolutely just getting started. So we'd love to hear from you guys with what you liked, what you didn't like. Ideas for segments, feedback. I think, John, you'd agree with me. We want this to be, the community show, Division 7 show, right? For those folks that maybe are, I love something as I'm getting to know you. You're not afraid to put yourself in an uncomfortable position. And that's something we can invite people into as well, my friend.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to Steve. Steve Reese is going to pick up the mic next week, and he's going to have a guest on here that I'll let you guys announce whenever everybody's ready. But it's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to speak about our faith. He's going to speak to some of our clients. He's going to talk about, those things that are important to them. So the involvement of this show is going to be clients, technology, industry, our employees. So we're gonna pivot this show around. So we're gonna make it exciting and interesting week after week, and we won't get stale and boring.
I think how we'd like you guys to think about the show is it's a living magazine. It's a weekly magazine. It's brought to you by Division 7. It's brought to you by Elevate. It's brought to you by the wonderful people that have been our partners in this. I'm extremely grateful Melissa, Jimmy, the entire team on the MITL studio. You guys have busted it. Carter, Mildred, everybody, it's been an all-in effort to make this show happen. I'm really grateful for all the work and effort. John, grateful for your support. Everybody in the Division 7 side, really grateful for all your support as well. I'm super excited to be learning more about the industry. I'm grateful that I'm invited in. Looking forward to sitting down with Steve next week and getting into the customer conversations and the faith conversations. And man, I just want to learn, and I'm really excited to be part of this. So on behalf of John Kiesel, Melissa, the entire gang behind the scenes you couldn't see, John, of course, Steve Little. I guess we got to thank Steve Little for showing up for a while, eh?
Let's get him in there, Steve. Thank you.
And of course, we celebrated Jill Bloom. Melissa, we're going to walk ourselves out of here. Melissa's on the buttons. Everybody, we'll see you guys next week, Thursday, live, 11 o'clock Eastern time, right here on the Tie-In channel. You know how to get a hold of John. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can go talk to John. We'll see you guys.